The story is about a blood-hungry vampire named Namikawa, a creature who has wandered the earth for more than 4 centuries. In his endless existence, he has slaughtered countless humans, draining their veins in search of satisfaction. Yet, despite all the lives he has taken, his thirst has never been fulfilled. No matter how much blood he consumed, he longed for something more, something sweeter, purer, almost divine in its scent. One fateful morning, as his strength began to fade beneath the blazing sun, Namikawa found himself moments away from death. The searing light burned his skin, and for the first time in centuries he felt fear. But just before the end, a small boy appeared, a curious, innocent child who had no idea that the pale man lying in the dirt was a vampire. Without hesitation, the boy helped him and brought him home to his father's house. Years have passed since that day. The vampire who once terrorized villages now works quietly as a servant in the household of the same boy, Yusuke. The two share a strange bond. Yusuke sees him as a loyal and gentle man, a silent protector who has served his family faithfully since his childhood. Yet what Yusuke doesn't realize is that Namikawa is no savior, he is a predator waiting patiently for his prey. Deep inside, Namikawa hides his true nature and his cruel intentions. He believes that Yusuke's blood, sweet, fragrant, and untouched, is the purest he has ever sensed in 400 years. But he must wait. The boy is still too young. Only when Yusuke becomes an adult will his blood reach its perfect maturity, and that will be the moment Namikawa finally drinks from him. One day, Yusuke goes to school and accidentally bumps into a girl. She smiles at him, kind and gentle, her warmth unfamiliar yet comforting. For the first time, Yusuke feels something stirring in his heart, a feeling he doesn't quite understand. By the end of the day, he realizes he's fallen in love. When he returns home, excitement shines in his eyes. He rushes to Namikawa and tells him everything, how he met a girl that morning and how he can't stop thinking about her. But instead of sharing his joy, Namikawa's expression darkens. His eyes gleam with quiet rage. Love, to him, is poison. He has waited centuries for this one moment, to claim Yusuke's pure, untainted blood, and now that purity is threatened. As Yusuke speaks innocently about his feelings, Namikawa watches him with a mix of desire and fury. Beneath his calm smile, the vampire's heart pounds with hunger. He knows that if Yusuke's love continues to grow, the purity of his blood will fade, and the sweetness he has waited for centuries will be lost forever. When Namikawa learns about Yusuke's newfound love, he immediately informs Yusuke's father and grandfather, expecting them to be furious. But to his surprise, both men simply laugh it off. They tease Yusuke light-heartedly and even joke that he should remember to use protection when the time comes. Their casual reaction fills Namikawa with silent rage. How could they treat such a sacred thing so lightly? Instead of scolding Yusuke, they're encouraging him, and that thought burns inside Namikawa like acid. Later that evening, Yusuke approaches Namikawa privately, hoping for advice on love. He blushes as he talks about Nanoka, asking the vampire how to impress her. Namikawa hides his anger behind a gentle smile and listens patiently. Then, with careful manipulation, he convinces Yusuke to lend him something that belongs to the girl, her handkerchief, under the excuse that he will bless it for good luck. That night, when darkness falls, Namikawa transforms into his true vampire form. Cloaked in shadow, he follows the faint trace of Nanoka's scent carried on the handkerchief. The trail leads him across the quiet town to a small street where the girl lives. He hangs upside down outside her window, his crimson eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. Nanoka, startled by the strange figure, gasps when she sees him, a pale man with eyes that seem to pierce through her soul. "Who are you?" she whispers, half terrified and half intrigued. Namikawa smirks and, in a voice as smooth as silk, introduces himself simply, a vampire. At first, she thinks it's a prank. But the way he moves, the cold aura that surrounds him, everything feels unnervingly real. As Namikawa speaks with her, he learns that Yusuke's love for Nanoka is completely one-sided. She admits that she has no time for romance, claiming she's more focused on her studies, her hobbies, and her friends. Instead of relief, Namikawa feels anger boiling within him. He had come to confirm what he already suspected. yet hearing it from her lips enrages him further. Yusuke's pure heart, his childish affection, his innocence, all wasted on a girl who doesn't care. But what he doesn't know is that Nanoka, far from being indifferent, has been fascinated by vampires her entire life. The next morning, Namikawa silently trails behind Yusuke as he heads to school. He keeps his distance, careful not to arouse suspicion from anyone. The sunlight filters through the clouds, forcing him to stay in the shadows as he watches. When Nanoka approaches Yusuke, smiling shyly, she thanks him for returning her handkerchief. Their brief exchange turns playful. Nanoka teases him, and Yusuke blushes under her gaze. Namikawa's eyes darken. The sight of her laughing, flirting so easily, ignites his anger. She lied, he thinks bitterly. She said she had no feelings for him. After school, Yusuke rushes home, filled with excitement. He bursts through the door, unaware of the fury brewing inside Namikawa. "I did it," he says proudly. "Nanoka accepted my friend request on her private account. We're chatting now." Namikawa clenches his fists, forcing a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Before he can respond, fate plays another cruel trick. Nanoka herself walks into the bathhouse attached to Yusuke's home. She's there by coincidence, but the moment she sees Namikawa, her expression changes completely. It isn't Yusuke she notices, it's the man from her dreams, the mysterious vampire. Namikawa freezes. His mind races for a way out. He tries to laugh it off, claiming she must have been dreaming that night. "A vampire? Me? You must have imagined it," he says smoothly. But Nanoka's eyes narrow. Her instincts tell her he's lying. She remembers the glow of his eyes, the strange energy that surrounded him, and she's certain it was him. When she leaves for home, Namikawa appears again, this time in his true form, stepping from the shadows under the pale moonlight. Nanoka stops in her tracks. He looks exactly as she remembered. In that moment, everything makes sense to her. She realizes he only denied his identity to protect his secret. Instead of fear, curiosity blossoms in her heart. As he leans closer, fangs glinting faintly, Yusuke suddenly appears. From his angle, it looks as though Namikawa is about to kiss Nanoka. Shocked and furious, Yusuke shouts his name. Namikawa recoils instantly. I was just trying to kill a bug on her shoulder," he stammers. Nanoka knows that's a lie. She's certain he wasn't trying to kill a bug, he was leaning in to kiss her. Flustered and conflicted, she mutters a quick goodbye and hurries away, leaving the two men in silence. But Yusuke, still burning with misunderstanding, believes Namikawa has feelings for Nanoka, that his servant, the man he trusts most, is trying to steal her away. Without saying another word, Yusuke turns and runs off into the night, leaving Namikawa standing in the shadows, torn between hunger, jealousy, and confusion. This whole situation leaves Namikawa deeply frustrated. He fears that Yusuke, blinded by love and emotion, might stray from the right path, and if that happens, his once pure blood could become tainted. Meanwhile, somewhere across town, chaos unfolds in a dark alley. A group of men are being brutally beaten by a towering figure, a man whose monstrous strength resembles that of Frankenstein's creature. The air vibrates with each blow as bodies crash to the ground like rag dolls. Suddenly, Namikawa appears at the scene, his expression cold and composed. He's still searching for Yusuke, following faint traces of his presence. The gang, mistaking him for another enemy, turns their attention to him. Within seconds, the men are all on the ground, groaning in pain, realizing too late that they've provoked something far beyond human. Even the massive Frankenstein looks stunned. Yet instead of fighting, the creature lowers his head respectfully. "You're strong," he mutters. Before Namikawa can respond, he senses a familiar heartbeat nearby, Yusuke. The boy had only come to the area to pick up a book, completely unaware of the commotion. Namikawa's sharp eyes narrow as he notices Frankenstein glancing at Yusuke. In that instant, Namikawa learns that this monstrous man is actually a senior at Yusuke's school. Seizing the opportunity, Namikawa gives a quiet but firm order. "If you truly wish to serve me, then protect that boy." The next morning, Yusuke goes to school with Frankenstein. They quickly become friends. As they talk more, Nanoka appears and Yusuke learns a shocking truth. Frankenstein is actually Nanoka's older brother. Nanoka, upon hearing this, is equally stunned. She never expected her rough, quiet brother to be spending time with Yusuke and vampire Namikawa. Their classroom teacher, Mr. Shinosuke, happens to hear Nanoka mention the vampire Namikawa. From Yusuke, he learns there's a man who claims to be a vampire as lives at their house. But what? Yusuke and others don't realize that, by day, Mr. Shinosuke is a gentle, soft-spoken teacher, the kind every student trusts. But when the sun sets, he becomes someone entirely different. The kindness fades, and what remains is a ruthless vampire hunter. Few know that behind his mild manner lies a heart hardened by centuries of inherited hatred. His ancestors swore to rid the world of vampires, and he intends to fulfill that oath, even if it means killing with his own hands. Years ago, he had already crossed paths with Namikawa. Their battle was fierce, blades flashing, blood spilling. Shinosuke had almost killed him, but Namikawa, swift and cunning, escaped into the darkness before the final strike could land. Since that night, Shinosuke has been hunting him relentlessly, waiting for another chance to finish what he started. Now that he has finally found him, without hesitation, he draws his gun and fires. But the bullets barely graze Namikawa's cloak. The vampire moves too quickly. Realizing guns are useless, Shinosuke switches to his silver knife and lunges forward. The two clash in close combat, the teacher's blade against the vampire's claws. Namikawa finally bares his fangs and grabs Shinosuke, ready to sink his teeth into the hunter's neck. But instead of resisting, Shinosuke smiles, a deep, unsettling sound that catches Namikawa off guard. "Go on," he says, tilting his head back. "Do it. I've always wondered what it feels like to be bitten by a vampire." For a moment, Namikawa hesitates, staring into the hunter's eyes. There's no fear there, only fascination. The next morning dawns unnaturally quiet. Namikawa, trying to shake off the strange encounter, prepares to take Yusuke somewhere alone, perhaps to a distant town or forest, under the pretense of training. But just as they're about to leave, three familiar figures arrive at the door: Nanoka, Frankenstein / and Mr. Shinosuke himself. Each has their own reason for being there. Nanoka, curious and in love; Frankenstein, loyal to his master's command; and Shinosuke, hiding a blade beneath his coat, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. And for the first time, all four paths, hunter, vampire, girl, and boy, collide under the same morning sun. The town festival blazed with color and laughter. Strings of lights hung across the streets, and the scent of sweet food filled the air. As they tried out different challenges and festival games, Nanoka found herself stealing glances at Namikawa. Every time he spoke, calm, elegant, and oddly detached, she felt more drawn to him. Namikawa quietly lured Nanoka away from the festival, telling her there was something he wanted to tell her privately. Naive and hopeful, Nanoka followed without hesitation, thinking this was a romantic confession. He led her through the silent back streets, away from the music and lights. The air grew colder, and Nanoka's heart fluttered with nervous excitement. She finally asked softly, "Do you love anyone, Namikawa?" For a moment, he said nothing. Then, with eyes as still as the night sky, he replied, "Love? I feel no such thing. But I do have a desire, a hunger to devour someone when the time is right, when they become an adult." Nanoka's breath caught. Her heart raced, but she misunderstood entirely. She thought he was talking about her. Embarrassed and flattered, she smiled shyly. Before Namikawa could act, before his hunger overtook his hesitation, shouts echoed through the distance. Yusuke and the others were searching for her. Namikawa clenched his jaw in frustration and quickly led Nanoka back toward the crowd before suspicion could rise. Back at the festival, the others were laughing and eating, but the lively atmosphere was soon broken by a sudden news flash on the small screen of TV. A series of brutal murders has shaken the city. Several bodies were found late last night, all with 2 puncture wounds on their necks and completely drained of blood. The next morning, Mr. Shinosuke approached Namikawa privately. His voice was calm but laced with suspicion. "You're living like a human, teaching, serving, blending in. while other vampires are tearing the city apart. How? Namikawa gave a faint smile. That's normal, he said quietly. Every new vampire causes chaos. They think immortality makes them invincible. But after enough time, the regret eats them alive. That night, far away from the calm of the festival, screams echoed through a dark alley. A woman ran for her life, glancing over her shoulder as a shadow pursued her across the narrow street. It was a vampire. His name was Gordon, a rogue vampire consumed by rage and hunger. He whispered, "Where is Namikawa?" With every step, the balance between predator and protector began to crumble, and the ancient war between vampires and hunters was about to begin again. The next morning, Yusuke approaches Namikawa after discovering a photo of him with Nanoka alone at the festival. Feeling betrayed and disheartened, he struggles with the thought that Nanoka might have feelings for Namikawa and that he has already lost her. That day, Mr. Shinosuke meets with the rogue vampire Gordon, who has been hunting vampire hunters. When Shinosuke denies knowing Namikawa's whereabouts, Gordon becomes angry. He picks up Shinosuke's phone and sees a picture of Namikawa, his own vampire brother. Gordon has sworn revenge on Namikawa for the death of someone close to him. Gordon bites Shinosuke in an attempt to kill him, but Shinosuke triggers a fire alarm, causing Gordon to cover his ears and allowing Shinosuke to escape. Gordon, still enraged, chases after him. Later, Yusuke and Nanoka find Shinosuke injured, and he tells them everything about Gordon and Namikawa. While Gordon waits, Namikawa arrives to confront him, trying to stop him from causing more problems. Gordon, enraged at seeing Namikawa, recalls how Namikawa had killed his loved one centuries ago instead of turning her into a vampire. He now intends to make Namikawa suffer by killing those close to him. Namikawa fights back, but while searching for Yusuke at the school, Gordon attacks again and cuts off both of Namikawa's hands. Later, Yusuke finds Namikawa heavily injured and helps him walk outside, unaware that someone is watching them from the shadows. Namikawa urges Yusuke to run, but Gordon appears. He realizes that Yusuke is precious to Namikawa. Enraged that Gordon attacked Namikawa, Yusuke tries to fight him, but he is too weak to match Gordon's strength. Before Gordon could kill Yusuke, Namikawa summoned all his strength and restored his severed arms, stopping Gordon with them. Gordon froze, shocked and unable to comprehend how Namikawa had managed to regain both his arms. Before Gordon could retaliate, Yusuke and Nanoka stepped forward, holding a cross. Surprisingly, the cross did nothing to Namikawa, leaving him confused, but Gordon flinched and hesitated. Gordon explained that he had read online that vampires are weak against crosses, and ever since, the symbol had become his greatest fear. Using this knowledge, Yusuke and Nanoka were able to protect Namikawa and Mr. Shinosuke. Later, Gordon confided in Namikawa, admitting that he had always been alone, while Namikawa had always been surrounded by kind and good people. Namikawa understood his pain and offered him a chance to live with them, to start over and become part of their family, embracing a normal life. As everyone gathered to celebrate Yusuke's birthday, the mood was light and cheerful. Yet, Namikawa still had not abandoned his plan. He was waiting for the day Yusuke would come of legal age so he could finally drink his blood.